Welcome, everybody, to this week's edition of The Rundown, presented by Dick's Sporting Goods. And Colorado, they get all 3 points at the death against the Houston Dynamo. And then a trip to Dallas is on deck this weekend for the Colorado Rapids. Let's get into it. Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Colorado Rapids podcast, and this week's edition of The Rundown, presented by Dick's Sporting Goods. I'm your host, Mike Ravolo, alongside my good friend and resident Rapids legend, Drew Moore. Drewby, good to see you on this Monday morning. As always, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing great. And
lovely, man.
Warning to everybody watching and listening.
No.
Mike is some kind of juiced up this morning. I love it. He's drinking coffee, which he usually doesn't. He's repping Bolivia, which I love, and he's ready to go. So,
coffee Mike is a different Mike. Listen, no, it's not that I don't like coffee. It's like this is like me actually venturing into the fact that I'm gonna try drinking coffee every morning, and yeah, it sounds very strange because literally everybody does it. But we're gonna see how this goes.
Listen, we're
off to a hot start. Apparently,
we're 5 minutes into me knowing that Mike's drinking coffee this morning, and I love it. I think you should make it a regular thing every day, all day.
I'll tell you what, it might be chaotic if that keeps going.
That's okay. That's all right.
Drew, coming off
3 points.
3 points on the weekend, man, dude.
And
the way we did it too. I mean, it's one thing to get the 3 points. The way to do it is another thing as well. I'm in a damn good mood.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what.
I love that.
And this match actually that we had against Houston, it was the first time in like almost a month, dude, that we had a match here at Dick's Sporting Goods Park, because we had the two on the road, Galaxy, SKC in consecutively. Then we had the FIFA window, the international break in there, and then we just had, our first game at Dick's Sporting Goods Park in quite a while, dude. It felt very strange to be back in the building. It felt like it'd been an eternity since we've been back here.
And it was really nice because there was a little bit of rain during warm-ups. It really cooled off. It was cool most of the day, and it again, we've talked about it a couple times now the past month or so. It feels like you're getting to that time of year where there's a little bit of coolness to the air, and the atmosphere ramps up a little bit, and it was fun Saturday night, and it was a big 3 points. No matter how you look at it, it was a big 3 points.
Huge 3 points, Drew. Huge 3 points. And the first team for the Rapids and Houston, they weren't the only ones with the match on the night. You had Rapids Unified versus Houston Dynamo, their unified team, on the night after the first team match. And, of course, the Rapids Unified side, coached by the wonderful Molly Underley. They got a 1-0 win.
Took care of business.
And they took care of business. So they closed out their season with the 4 matches they had throughout the year in 2025. That closed out their season. Aiden Ramirez with the PK, which he did. Funny enough, he did the same thing in Dallas last year. He got a PK, or not, sorry, he did not. He got the game-winning goal. It wasn't a PK last year, but he got the game-winning goal last year for the last game of the season.
He likes playing those Texas teams.
Aiden, man. Shout out Aiden, man. Yeah, he's like another Hoff and Navajo out here. He loves to play against the Texan teams, man, and score against them. So shout out to Aiden, man, for scoring that goal. Well done, and to the rest of the Rapids Unified team and the coaching staff, Molly Underley, for another wonderful year, man.
Season.
We can't emphasize enough how much fun it is to be around them. Like, I was filming and covering the game, thankfully, because it's just nice to be around them, man. Like, I truly do love being around that group, because you can't help but be happy when you're around them.
Yeah, agreed. My boys, I took them to the staff scrimmage against the unified team last season, and after every match that is coming up, they ask, "Is there a unified game afterwards?" Or whatever. They love the unified players. They just made that such a special day for them. And so, my boys were pumped when there was a unified match after this, and they took care of business. And,
yeah, man.
It was a fantastic season, as it always is.
Yeah, and to the fans as well who stuck around for that match. I mean,
big time.
Like, you guys, we cannot emphasize enough how much of a big deal it is for all the players, be it for Houston or be it for Colorado, who get to participate in that game and see the fans who are cheering and supporting them and being there for everybody. So for all the fans who stuck around for that game, thank you so much. And like, more just kind of an extension from the Rapids Unified team, because I know they appreciated that very much. Cool. One last thing before we get into the match. I had to. Well, you mentioned it. You kind of beat me to the punch a little bit with Bolivia. Yeah. So obviously I'm wearing the Bolivia jersey because that's where my parents are from.
Clean looking jersey.
Which is why I was asking it. I was asking for it. Pretty. Putting a lot of emphasis on getting the jersey from, because my mom was able to bring it over from Bolivia when she was there fairly recently, because I couldn't find it here in the States. And I was like, Mom, please, you have to snag a Bolivia jersey. And so they qualified for the playoff round of the World Cup, happening next year here in the stateside in Canada and Mexico. So they qualified for the playoff round for the World Cup, which I think it's end of March, I believe that's taking place. So they're going to figure out who amongst the 6 teams that'll participate, if they're going to be one of the 2 that make it out of that.
Okay.
So it could be the first time since 1994, and the World Cup was in the U.S.
Were you alive then?
I was 3 months old, man.
3 months old.
Yeah. So it'd be wild to like see Bolivia back in the World Cup, and funny enough, again in stateside, like the last time they did it was stateside.
That would be really cool.
It would be incredible, man. So yeah, hence the Bolivian jersey that I got.
All the best, all
Dude,
the best to Bolivia.
I'm gonna be stressed.
Do they have a nickname, the Bolivian national team?
No, not really,
Okay.
or not, at least not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
So it's but I'm gonna be stressing for the next few months until we figure out our fate.
Also, your dad was at the match.
Yeah, dude, I don't know what
The
it is.
Rivolos need a permanent, they need a season ticket. And they need to travel here for every home match because have we dropped any points with your parents attending?
Not that I can think of. Because my mom was at the Charlotte game, that afternoon game we had in March.
Yep.
We won that. My dad was at the Houston game this past weekend. We won that.
Your mom was here last season against LAFC.
LAFC, that match, afternoon match, we won. So I don't know. My
Get
parents
the
have something,
Rivolos
man.
here.
I don't know. They have the magic touch, and I don't know.
Well, it's them. It's obviously not you because we're not undefeated when
Thanks for that,
when you've
Drew.
been at matches. No
I should just not show up to matches.
Nah, you just got. I got to keep you humble.
Someone's got to. Drew. All right, Drew. After all that nonsense,
Yeah,
let's get into
spouting.
it. Let's get into the recap of the match between the Colorado Rapids and the Houston Dynamo that we had here at Dick's Sporting Goods Park this past Saturday. The second time these sides are facing each other, Drew. And here in the first half, early on, within the first 10 minutes, a Cole Bassett goal, Drew.
Well-worked free kick. I love the little subtle touch from Rafa Santos. It essentially shifts the free kick, a couple feet to the right and just opens up the near post a little bit more for Cole Bassett. Still took a quality finish, but he takes care of it, and Rafa Santos will take that assist as well. We're going to talk about those 2 a lot today.
It was a good goal. I wonder if it was a Sharpie special. I'll ask you about that later. And so Colorado, they're just imposing themselves on the game, Drew. Cole with a good cross here. And, just Calvin taking that chance there.
Fantastic cross, and Calvin trying to do the right thing here, doing everything he can to get this on target. Paxten was in a good spot as well, but it was a good opportunity for the Rapids there.
And then moving into the second half, Drew, Houston here with an opportunity. Zach stepping up big time.
Big time save in a moment when we needed Zach Steffen, just makes himself big and stuffs out that play, and then Rapids able to clear the lines. Good desperate defending there.
And moving further ahead here in the 68th minute, Drew, Houston looking to impose themselves on the game. Lawrence Denali with a good cross. Jack McGlynn takes advantage.
Yeah, and that's what it is. And Rafa Santos was pushed up in the attack and just not able to get back in time. I actually thought, Reggie Cannon does well here to push Anali all the way to the back post, and it is an inch perfect cross from him.
And then Houston, just another look here. Lawrence Denali, again, is a good cross, as you mentioned. Just goes over Zach, but Jack McGlynn is able to take advantage. And this is the moment, Drew. I would say literally the last kick of the game, Connor Ronan on the ball for the corner kick. Whips it in here for somebody to get on the end of it. Somebody did, whether it's Paxten Aaronson, whether it's Andreas Max Stewart's an own goal, the Rapids get the game-winning goal.
I don't care who this goes down as being the goal scorer. This was a massive goal and deserved from the Rapids. They were all over Houston, after Houston's goal. And Paxten will celebrate it, and rightfully so. He does get a touch on it and gets across that near post player, and you can see what it means in the celebrations, and just a huge 3 points, and to get it at the death was, that's the kind of thing that you can go on and build some momentum and some confidence from. It was a fun ending to the night.
Yep, a huge 3 points for the Colorado Rapids on the night, Drew, in terms of trying to book a playoff spot for 2025. Looking at the match stats, Drew, between the two sides. So with the Rapids, they had 21 shots versus 16 for the Houston Dynamo. 7 shots on goal for the Rapids versus 5 for the Dynamo. 9 corners for the Rapids, 5 for the Dynamo. And then in terms of possession, 56.6% of the possession for the Rapids and 43.4% for the Houston Dynamo. Drew, your thoughts? Let's get
Those are
straight
some
into
good stats right there. I'll tell you what. Those are some really good stats.
They definitely were. So what did you make of that match between the two sides, Drew?
It was a good match. It was a really entertaining match. It was 2 teams that were showing urgency to try to get all 3 points, because I think both sides felt like they needed all 3 points, and I thought we started the match extremely well on the front foot. We get the early goal. Had to defend a little bit then to, kind of in the middle part of the first half. Maybe weren't quite as efficient in our defending as you would have liked to have seen. A lot of running. Houston did well. They show their quality on the ball and their possession, and they want to be ball hogs. I thought we finished the first half extremely well. conceded and then responded extremely well after conceding. And I just thought the goal that we gave up, the match had started to get a little bit stretched out. And when you're defending a 1-goal lead, can your rest defense be just a little bit better? Can your quality with the ball be just a little bit better and not allow the game to get too stretched out? I know that's kind of how we want to play. That's how we create our chances a lot. But to respond the way we did and score the goal, right at the end was absolutely fantastic. It was an important 3 points. Ultimately, it didn't really matter what it looked like because this is the kind of game we're going to be in from here on out, playoff type games where everybody is fighting tooth and nail for every single moment, every single play, every single goal, and we were the ones that came out on top, and that's a fantastic sign. I thought Rafa Santos was my man of the match. He was fantastic. His left foot is so much fun to watch. His confidence going forward is great. But I thought it was a very entertaining match that the Rapids did exactly ultimately what they had to do to get all 3 points.
They did what they had to do. I think that's what it comes down to at this time of year specifically,
sure.
Drew. Like, it doesn't matter what you do and how you do it in terms of getting 3 points. You get 3 points, you get 3 points. Like, that's simple as that, especially at this time of year is when teams are trying to find a playoff spot, trying to jump other teams in hopes of getting one right. That's where Houston found themselves going into this match against the Rapids. So the Rapids being able to create that distance creates a little bit of wiggle room. And again, it's one of those, it's the time of year when you're starting to look at your own results, other teams' results, to see who's going to move around the table at any given point, at any given moment, just based on any result that can take place. So it's a crazy time. It's the crazy time in MLS at this point.
It is, and I would say, yes, they did what they had to do, and not just, at the end of the night, but really over the whole course of the game. They had to start the game fast and on the front foot, and they did that, right? And they got rewarded with an early goal. They had to defend at times. They had to suffer at times, and they did that. And then after conceding, they had to come out and attack and create opportunities and try to get the game-winning goal, and they did that. And that's a sign of a very mature team, not just doing what you have to do, ultimately and getting all 3 points, but at different times of the match, able to kind of calculate and gauge when they needed to do certain things, and I thought they did that extremely well on the night.
You mentioned Rafa Santos in there. Well, what did you like about his game on the night versus Houston?
He's so dangerous going forward, and I thought his partnership with Cole Bassett on that left side was very good. You see when he's got time and space on that left foot, his crosses from set piece situations, from the run of play, his ability to hit long diagonals. He found Paxten Aaronson early on in the match, I think before we had even scored our first goal, with a nice diagonal ball that Paxten brought down and ended up shooting, but pulled it wide. Just his energy in the attack. Defensively, I thought he's very solid as well. He's a confident young man that's continuing to, every training session he's listening, he's asking questions, he's talking to his teammates. But I thought the combination of him and Cole Bassett on that left side was very impressive, and we were able to get around Houston's right side, which was a point of emphasis, especially with Griffin Dorsey wanting to push really high into the attack. And Rafa Santos took advantage of that, and that's exactly what you want to see from your player.
I really like his service, whether it's like in the run of play or like off dead ball situations. Like, dude, it's good, man.
It's
like,
perfect.
And it's nice to add that like another level of unpredictability for the other team. Because if you're let's take the Cole free kick goal that he takes, for example. Like, if you're Houston looking at that situation, like who in the world is going to take this free kick? Especially, I think Rafa had taken a free kick before that free kick that Cole scores, if I remember correctly, if not after, right? But you have Connor Ronan. Ollie Leroy sometimes is on there. Cole Bassett, Rafa Santos can step up to a dead ball situation like that. Corner kicks, some of the crosses he put in, some from half spaces in the run of play. Like, Rafa on the ball is really, really good. On top of the fact that he's very defensively sound as well. Yeah. So, like, he's been a really neat addition to this group. He made his home debut on Houston, or against Houston, rather, on this past Saturday night, and along with a few other guys. Yep. With Rob Holding, Paxten Aaronson, and Alexis Banjoma as well, the Colombian winger that is on loan from Estudiantes de La Plata in Argentina. What did you make of some of those other performances from the other guys, and for the fans to be able to kind of witness and see for the first time in person some of these new signings?
All four of them were extremely impactful. You got exactly what you wanted out of them. I thought Rob Holding and Andreas Maxu were really, really good. Not a lot of stuff that you're going to see in the box score or, unless you're really watching them, but the organization, that they provided for the defensive unit. Rob Holding is very calm on the ball. You see his quality. His experience, it all looked really, really good on Saturday night. And he had Rafa Santos on his left side. So, you have two new faces on that left side defensively, and they were very, very good. I thought, Paxten Aaronson continues to just be so influential and just so much fun to watch. I really like watching this guy. Again, I'm just so impressed with the spaces that he takes up. He's kind of been given a little bit of a free role, it seems like, and which means he is going to drift in and out of matches at times. But that's okay, because when he does get into the match, that's when he makes his impact, and he did, and take away the, whether he scored the goal or not. Just he's so dangerous. He's going to attract a lot of attention. I thought he was very good. And Manyoma comes on and, he gets thrown into the fire. That's not an easy debut to have, right? Like an MLS playoff race, probably unfamiliar with something like that. But he showed a lot of quality at times. He showed, he likes to kind of come inside and combine, and he can be a pocket winger, but he can also go direct as well. The little move on the left side where he gets one defender going the wrong way and then Megs the other one and then gets service into the box. The four debutants, 3 of them in home matches, and then Alexis, his debut, all 4 fantastic.
Yeah, man, it was nice, and like I said, I think it was nice for the fans to be able to kind of see these guys in person, because it's one thing when you watch on TV. In this case, it was this SKC and LA Galaxy. That was the only time you could see these guys when they some of them first featured. But I think it's something else when you get to go to the stadium and actually see these guys in person, how they move and how they play, and like it's just a lot of fun to watch, and especially on a night like Saturday, when you get all 3 points and you fight, you find a way, create coincidences, put yourself in a position to win, and the Rapids are walking away with all 3 points. Yeah. A huge 3 points on the night for the Colorado Rapids, drew against the Houston Dynamo side that we knew had plenty to play for as well, coming into that match. One thing of note here, outside of like the match itself, Drew, is regarding Adam Beaudry. So he had been on loan at the Colorado Springs Switchbacks, just an hour down south from here at Dick's Sporting Goods Park. Due to the roster freeze happening last Friday for MLS, that the Colorado Rapids, decided to call him back, have him here in camp for the rest of the season, should anything come up, because you never know at this time of years. It's just you kind of need all hands on deck at this point to make sure that you kind of covered in all spaces, particularly in the goalkeeper position. So it's always nice to have Adam around here and have him back here with the club. Of
course, and he had a good spell there with the Switchbacks. Was actually back playing for the second team just yesterday. Against Houston as well, but just good to see him back, his smiling face, and he's obviously a quality goalkeeper, so the level and training elevates as well.
Oh, for sure. Not a bad goalkeeper core that we have. Zach Steffen, Nico Hansen, Adam Beaudry, Zach Campagnolo, who's playing more with R2, has been in the academy, but
it's as good as there is in the league.
Yeah,
and I don't even know all of them, but I'll tell you, it's as good as there is in the league.
and Sharpie overseeing all that. Of course, Sharpie's going to like when I mention that, because he likes anytime I mention him here on anything public facing. So
if you don't,
shout out Sharpie. Shout out to you, Sharpie. Again, Drew, that was a huge 3 points, because there's playoff implications. So we're in that time of year now where every single point, every single result matters, whether it's the Rapids or if you're being mindful of other results that happen along the way. But if you're the Rapids, just take care of your business and you find yourself in a good position to make the playoffs. This is a good first step of the remaining 4 games now for the Rapids for the rest of the season. So just take care of your business and you find yourself in a good spot for the playoffs.
Yeah, it's something to build off of. The new faces were great. The old faces were great. The match could have gone, it felt like after Houston scored, which way is it going to go? And the Rapids said it's going to go our way. And they showed it, and then they went and they delivered. And that's great. And you're going to have to forget about that, build off of it, but go and try to do it again in Dallas.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I forgot to mention this, is like when we scored that second goal, dude, my ears were ringing. Like if my head was just, my mind was boggled with how loud people celebrated that game. I think so. And anyone who was at the stadium could feel that as well, because it was extremely loud when that goal went in, and the way everybody celebrated that goal. And like you'd think we won a cup final, but it's just knowing what's on the line, right?
Yeah,
playoff position, 3 points, and for Houston, man, that's a dagger to the heart to concede something literally at the last kick of the game. And for the Rapids on the flip side of it, to earn a result like that, man, you can't help but celebrate like that. You know, even though was technically in the end it was an own goal, right? But like Paxten, the way he celebrated, I think that just shows you what it meant and what everybody knew, how much that result meant for everybody. And the fans were as loud as could be, man. Like I said, my mind was literally boggled from how loud it was, but it was an incredible sensation to be a part of that moment like that in person. So not only the 3 points, but like how we did it as well, even if we did stress ourselves out a little bit towards the end. But that's something you build off of, Drew.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we can move on. Or actually, speaking of Sharpie, I was going to ask you, do you think that was a Sharpie special on that free kick goal for Cole?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
I was going to say, because I saw Cole go to
got you,
Sharpie afterwards. Yeah.
I got you.
We've mentioned Sharpie too many times already for one show. So, but he's not going to mind. I know
He's not going to mind.
He's not going to mind one bit. All right. So let's move on from that. Huge 3 points like we said against Houston. Let's move on to around MLS, Drew. A few here to cover. So we'll start with Real Salt Lake versus Sporting Kansas City. So our Rocky Mountain Cup rivals hosting Sporting Kansas City. They got a 2-1 win against SKC. It was goals by Diego Luna and Catranis. RSL, they're currently in 10th. They're 5 points back with 2 games in hand on the Rapids. So, and they have 2 this weekend. We were just talking about it before the show that both against LAFC midweek on Wednesday in Salt Lake, correct?
Salt Lake.
And then they go to LA on Saturday on the weekend. I think it was the Club World Cup. LAFC just kind of schedule, I probably mucking that up a little bit. And we have Real Salt Lake on the second to last game of the regular season. That's going to decide Rocky Mountain Cup. Anything that you noted from that game, Drew?
No, well, they had a couple of their new signings playing. They hit Sporting in transition for a couple goals. So Salt Lake are a team, and we become LAFC fans a little bit here this week. Not just because they're playing Salt Lake. We're fans of any team that play against Salt Lake, but because we want, this is the time of year. You're okay with the teams in front of you maybe moving ahead if it means the teams that are chasing you, don't get points. And so, we'll be watching Wednesday night. But regardless, when we go to Salt Lake, it's going to be massive because there's going to be playoff implications, and it's Rocky Mountain Cup is on the line. And so we'll obviously keep an eye on what they're doing because they are just behind us with a couple games in hand. That's a tough stretch though. LAFC a couple times in 4 days. So it'll be interesting to see what they do there. Will they continue to try to now hit LAFC on the counter because it was successful against Sporting Kansas City this last weekend? Who knows? And neither none of their new signings actually scored goals, but it's they kind of got them up and running, and so it'll be interesting to see how they do against LAFC this week. Yeah,
again, second to last game of the regular season for the Rapids is at Salt Lake to decide Rocky Mountain Cup for 2025. So big game on the line, and that's before the last game, decision day. Well, but there's a break in between those two games. It's another FIFA win, I believe. So a little bit of a break there. Nonetheless, important game coming up for the Rapids in about a few weeks' time at Salt Lake. The next game we want to look at, Drew, is San Jose versus LAFC. That was at Levi Stadium. 4-2 win for LAFC, which that's another result that helps the Rapids in terms of pushing San Jose down. Heung-min Son scored a goal in the first minute, and then Denis Bouanga got a hat trick, finds himself in the golden boot race with that one. San Jose, they're 9th with 35 points. So again, that result on top of another result they lost recently. I think it was in Houston actually that they lost, if I recall correctly.
They did, yeah.
Yeah, so those kind of results, again, we're talking about, this is one of those things, you're at the time of the year where you're looking at other results to see how that might affect your own playoff fate for this season. And so on top of San Jose, you have RSL, Dallas, and Houston that are chasing for playoff spots, kind of down there flirting with the playoff line. Anything you saw from that match, Drew?
Well, no, obviously entertaining, and Bouanga gets a hat trick, but has there been a more roller coaster ride of a team than San Jose this season in MLS, where it's like they'll undefeated for 6 and then they don't win for 6 and then undefeated for 6 and it's crazy, and seems like it's always high scoring game. But again, LAFC did us a favor against San Jose now, so I guess we are LAFC fans.
Seems that way
right now, but no, that's one of those. It is a good result for the Rapids. And obviously, Son getting on the score sheet again, in front of a massive crowd at Levi Stadium, which is always cool to see. Obviously, this game I think kicked off an hour before ours did, so not a lot to see from it, but a good result in terms of the Rapids playoff.
And then finally, San Diego versus Minnesota. Kind of surprising one. This one, Drew. San Diego, who's typically strong at home, lose 3-1 to Minnesota, and the 3 goals from Minnesota happened the last 20 minutes of the match, Drew. So it took a while for the goals to come, but they came kind of thick and fast in favor of Minnesota, at least. San Diego with a consolation goal towards the end. In terms of standings, San Diego, they're first with 56 points. Then you have Minnesota, who have caught up to them a little bit with 54. Vancouver's third in the Western Conference with 52 points, but 2 games in hand. So Vancouver's still a little bit in the conversation there in terms of Western City, who's going to sit on top of the West, and kind of in effect Supporter Shield standings as well. Anything you saw from that match, Drew?
Who would have thought coming into this season that with 4 games to play, San Diego, Minnesota, and Vancouver, we're going to be in the top 3 spots
Not
in the
me.
West. You know,
Not this guy.
I saw. I think San Diego had 126% possession in that match.
Sounds about right.
Minnesota have negative 24%, whatever.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, and Minnesota scored 3 goals, whether they were counterattacking goals or set piece goals. And Dane St. Clair stood on his head, and Minnesota got 3 more points.
He's a good keeper.
He is.
He is a very good keeper. And then they scored one from midfield just for fun.
Yeah, why
Yeah.
not? Why
Yeah.
not?
I'll throw an honorable mention in there in terms of results we didn't cover is Vancouver against Philly. So if anybody happened to know that they knew that
If a
result was
tree
going to happen,
falls in the woods and nobody is there,
listen,
to hear it.
I'm not going to say that anybody could even pretend to know that they knew if that was going to happen. However, if you did, let me know because I'd like to know the lottery numbers coming up at some point soon because I wouldn't mind knowing other things that might be coming up along the way because no one could have predicted
I think
that.
Muller's in the golden boot chase, isn't he?
At
after
this
that
point, he
match?
might be.
I got to give Rich credit for that one. I think he said it before we got the cameras going in here.
So we didn't have that one on the docket, but that was just wild. Like no one could have expected that one.
No, not at all.
And
Not
I
at
didn't mind it. I didn't mind Philly conceding a touchdown and an extra point in there. So
Yeah,
I'll
they're a
let
real
that-
thorn in a lot of people's sides, aren't they?
Yeah, a little bit, a little bit. All right, so let's move on from around MLS, Drew, and let's move into the match ahead for the Colorado Rapids. That's going to be at FC Dallas this Saturday, September 20th, 6:30 p.m. Mountain Time kickoff at Toyota Stadium. Of course, you can watch that match on MLS Season Pass on Apple TV. So, Drew, in terms of FC Dallas and how they've been looking lately in terms of their record, 5 unbeaten in MLS play, 2 wins, and sorry, I have my records mixed up. So 2-0-3, and then, so the last 3 results have been a 1-1 draw versus LAFC, 1-1 draw at St. Louis, and then a 2-0 win versus Austin just this past weekend. In terms of team comparisons, Drew, Dallas, they're 8-11-10, 11th in the West with 29 games played. So they have one game less played. Say that 20 times faster. 1 game less played than the Rapids. So this is kind of an important game for the Rapids to try to take advantage of Dallas. And then Colorado with their record 11-13-6, 8th in the West with 30 games played. Points, Dallas are on 34, Colorado are on 39. Goals, Dallas have scored 42 versus Colorado's 40. Goals against, Dallas have conceded 48 and Colorado have conceded 49. And average possession between the two sides, Dallas have 41.6% average possession versus Colorado's 44.2% average possession. And the last time these two sides faced each other, Drew, was home opener here at Dick's Sporting Goods Park on March 1st. That was a wild 3-3 draw between the two sides. The Rapids, goals from Keegan Rosenberry and 2 from Rafa Navajo. As we mentioned, he likes to score against the Texan teams. And Dallas, goals from Pedrinho, Lucho Acosta, and Petar Musa. Speaking of Lucho Acosta, he is no longer
Gone
with FC Dallas. He's Fluminense now in Brazil. So they lose their playmaker, who they just got this past offseason. And so Lucho Acosta no longer with FC Dallas, currently in Fluminense, on top of the fact that Leo Chu and Marco Farfan are no longer at FC Dallas as well. So a little bit of change from Dallas' side as well since over the summer. Yeah, I think, Drew, this is another important match between these two sides who are trying to improve their playoff odds, trying to find a spot in the playoffs in 2025, just because of where they sit. As we mentioned here just a little bit earlier, Dallas has 1 game less played and just a few points behind the Rapids. If they were to win, that puts them in a pretty decent position in terms of finding, even if it is the 9th spot, finding a spot to get into the playoffs. So there's everything to fight for in this match for both sides.
There is. It reminds me a lot of the Houston match that we just had. And Dallas, they're hanging around, right? They're unbeaten in 5 MLS matches, albeit three draws in there, but they're hanging around. They don't have, especially now that Acosta is gone, really that big name player that you think of. Musa would obviously, be their biggest name player, but a hardworking group that hangs around in games that are always kind of in their matches. It's not an easy place to go play. It could still be 100 degrees there. In fact, I know that it's still getting up into the mid 90s. But this is a team that, if the Rapids go in and don't kind of impose themselves and navigate the kind of some of the ups and downs and momentum swings of this match, it can be a tricky one. If they go in and are mature like they were against Houston and find a good balance, both sides of the ball, then they can very easily take care of business. But this is going to have to be played at the intensity and the level that the Rapids just did against Houston if they expect to go in and get anything from this match.
Yeah.
Dallas are desperate. They're desperate.
Yeah, and that can be dangerous.
Yeah.
Sometimes a desperate team that you go up against and at their place, it can be very dangerous. And as you mentioned, Drew, it's hard to go to Dallas.
Yeah.
They always put up a fight regardless of whether you have a Lucho Costa or not. They're coming off a good result on the weekend against Austin, who was above them. So Dallas is going to come in with some momentum into this match and coming in a little desperate, which again can be dangerous for the Rapids, and they'll have to be mindful, be on top of their game, impose themselves on the game as you had mentioned, just like they did against Houston on the weekend.
Yeah.
Do the same, but a taller task of having to go to Dallas and do that. So it's a tough match for the Rapids.
Dallas seemed to tweak a little bit their formation
Mm-hmm.
at the weekend. They went a little bit more of a 3-5-2 where they shift around to the left, allow Kamungo a bit of freedom to attack on the left side. They paired Musa and Farrington together. I could see them going that exact same way because they really handled their business against Austin at the weekend, easily a 2-0 win. So there, some tweaks there as well. It's gonna be an interesting match, and I'm really looking forward to it. But the Rapids have to go in again with that same spirit mentality that they just had against Houston.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the Houston match is going to be the blueprint, I think, in terms of how you need to go about your business. And like we mentioned, it's even more difficult task, I think, just because you have to go on the road at a place like Dallas.
Yeah.
Whether it's the weather, whether it's the type of team that you're playing, the way they're going to play, as you mentioned, with their setup as of late, going with the 3-5-2, maybe a little bit more pragmatic since now they don't have someone like Lucho Acosta kind of pull the strings a little bit for the group. So it's a tall task for the Rapids, man.
Without Lucho Acosta,
yeah,
we got to talk about some players.
Yeah.
You got Dallas's player to watch.
Yeah, I'll kick us off in terms of players we want to keep an eye out. So on the Dallas side of things, Drew, I'm gonna be keeping tabs on Pedro Musa. So as Edwin mentioned before, that Lucho Costa is no longer with Dallas. He's now Fluminense. So Pedro Musa is your big name player, the guy who's kind of run the show to some extent for FC Dallas. The guy just scores goals, man. Like, he can find a way to score goals, whether it's his link-up play to drop in a little bit and connect the play with other his teammates, or if he's the guy who's at the end of it in the box, kind of the fox in the box, if you will, finding his opportunities in small spaces, from crosses that he gets from either side. If it's a Kamungo coming out left, or Shaq Moore, who's very good on the right-hand side as more of a winger in this new setup. Pedro Musa can kind of score goals in different ways. He's a good athlete. He's very mobile. So, like, he's someone that's going to be very difficult for the Rapids to try to keep tabs on, but you have to, especially because he's the guy for Dallas. It's easier said than done because of what the amount of danger this guy presents with how good he is, how mobile he is, how effective and dangerous he is in front of goal. Like, the Rapids are going to have their hands full with him, but if they can shut him down, you really, really limit not only his opportunities to score, but the overall play, I think, for Dallas because I think Pedro Musa brings everybody else's game up in Dallas. Shut down Pedro Musa, you kind of shut down the rest of Dallas.
Agreed. I agree, and I think he's going to have to, shoulder a lot of the responsibility attack-wise. I think they will probably pair Farrington with him again because it was effective. Farrington gets the assist on Musa's goal against Austin at the weekend. But Musa, and he's a player that has been a little bit of a thorn in the Rapids side since coming 2 off seasons ago to Dallas, and he has an all around very good game. He's big, strong, good hold up play. More athletic maybe than he looks, and comes alive in the penalty area. So that's a good shout. And I think if the Rapids center backs are able to limit what he's able to do, then you set yourself up extremely well. My Rapids player to watch is going to be an attacking player as well. It's going to be Cole Bassett. Somebody that we, maybe we haven't talked about as much as we would have liked to this season. He's, he had a couple knocks earlier in the season. Struggled to find form a little bit. He scored at the weekend. He had a fantastic partnership with Rafa Santos on that left side because Cole played kind of as the hybrid left winger that can tuck into the pocket, allow space for Rafa Santos to get by him. We don't know who's starting, of course, yet on a Monday morning. But I thought Cole was very impactful in the match. And having Paxten Aaronson kind of be the number 10 that roams around and tries to, find good spaces, kind of frees Cole up a little bit on that left side as well to create some of his space, get on the ball and dribble at, the back line. And I do think Rafa Santos helped to elevate Cole Bassett's game as well. And so maybe, if those two are on that left side again, those are going to be kind of my players to watch. But Cole is somebody that will hopefully be feeling a lot of confidence from his performance against Houston going into this Dallas match.
Yeah, and I think a slightly different challenge because again, just of the different setup that I would presume that the Rapids are going to face, particularly maybe on that side, because Houston, what they did a 4-3-3, so a little more offensive minded because they do like to possess the ball, even if we didn't see too much of that on Saturday.
Right.
Where you're looking at Dallas now, again, we're just going based off what they did in Austin versus Austin on the weekend, whereas a 3-5-2, a little more defensively sound, a little more discipline in that sense, but maybe try to go in transition the other way. So maybe a different challenge, for Cole, for Hoffa, for really the rest of the Rapids group in terms of how you're going to break this side down, but being mindful of Dallas and how they're going to maybe go the other way. I would presume it with this sort of setup that they have.
For sure.
In terms of keys of the match, Drew, let's go straight into it. I'll let you kick it off in terms of what you're looking for in general for this match.
Yeah, and we've already highlighted Musa because we do think he's going to be big in particular their attack. For me, a real key of the match is going to be how the center backs deal with Musa and Farrington, and really just can we have another good, solid performance defensively. If it's Rob Holding and Andreas Maxu again, can they repeat their performance that they had against Houston? Because I never felt like, defensively we were stressed or we were, overwhelmed or anything. It was just all very organized, very compact. Even in a match that did get opened up at times, it's not like, we were ever really pinned in and under pressure or anything. And you're going to have to now go on the road against a desperate team and have a repeat performance of that, I feel like, where you just very organized, you keep the defensive unit, switched on and compact as possible in moments. Can our center backs and really the whole defensive unit just have a good, solid performance? Because you're getting into that time of year where you can't go into games and concede 2-3 goals and expect to win, right? You're going to have to be solid defensively in the matches going forward, and it starts in Dallas. If it is Holding and Maxu, again, they were very good against Houston. Can they have a repeat performance in Dallas on the road now? Yeah.
And then on my end, in terms of a key to the match on my end, Drew, kind of building off what the defensive side of things. Specifically with rest defense. So obviously when the Rapids, if they're going to look to impose themselves on the game with possession, kind of a little bit of what we saw against Houston, they'll just need to be mindful of the fact that Dallas in this instance is probably going to want to go in the other way. I'd mentioned it before where, again, we don't know any formations, any personnel for either side, quite frankly. But going based off what Dallas had done this past weekend in terms of their setup against Austin with the 3-5-2, again, more defensively sound, a little more disciplined defensively, but the moment they can go the other way, I would imagine they're going to go with your Bernard Kamungo, Shaq Morris, Petan Musas, Logan Farringtons, whoever they have, basically your athletes who are just going to go and just bomb forward. So rest defense is going to be key to be mindful of some of those guys to see where they're at, keep track of them while you have possession of the ball. Because should you lose possession maybe in the middle third or wherever, right? If the Rapids were to lose possession at any point, where are some of these guys you can keep track of what their movements could potentially be, knowing that they're going to fly the other way and try to find opportunities that way, since they're going to be maybe sitting a little bit deeper, even at home, with a little more defensively sound shape on Dallas's side. So rest defense, building off like just your general point regarding the Rapids defending. Rest defense, I think, is going to be very key for the Rapids.
I love it. Yeah, and we're going to get our chances going forward. We are going to create chances. Being opportunistic will obviously be huge, scoring goals. But if you set up yourself solid, a solid defensive performance, defense wins championships, man. Trust me.
Yeah, I was going to say you might know a thing or two, literally two. About that.
Yeah.
So
thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you only won 2 MLS Cups. So
every
no
once
big
in a
deal.
while, we got to remind the people.
Yeah, man. Dude, hey, I'm a believer. Like, you got it. If you got it, flaunt it. You got 2 MLS Cups, dude. Flex it, man. Like, that's not everybody can say they won MLS Cups. So if you won it, like, by all means, like, shout it from the mountaintops.
Appreciate it.
It's not by accident that you do that, by the way. There's a good reason that you're a big part of that. Anything else, Drew, that we wanted to cover, go over?
No, my face is red now because you were giving me compliments and stuff. So.
No. Hey man, I'm just looking out for you. You keep me humble, but I'm just singing your praises here.
I'll be interested to see how the the vibe and the mentality is in the week moving forward in training. Obviously, they're off today to rest and recover, but starting tomorrow morning, you're already going to get a good sense of how the week goes, and I fully expect this group to come in focused and ready to put in it was a very good week of preparation leading up to Houston. And again, I think these new faces and this new energy has a lot to do with that, which is massive. And that just, that reverberates through the entire squad. And so if I see that come tomorrow morning, Tuesday morning, I like our chances for the weekend.
Yeah, man. And we're not in the playoffs yet.
No,
Knock on wood.
Far from it.
Every single game, I think you kind of have to treat as a playoff game.
For sure.
If you want to, one, get to the playoffs, but two, for me, like if the Rapids can get into the playoffs, I think they're kind of as dangerous as almost any team can be, just because of the way this team plays and how dangerous they can be on the ball, press, counter press. Like some of these things that in playoff environments specifically, I think could benefit the Rapids so long as they get into the playoffs and give themselves a chance to go out and do that against really anybody, Drew. So, but first you got to get in. First you got to get in.
You do, and they have to earn it. They have to earn their spot. And if you go and you earn your spot in the playoffs, then anything can happen from there. Especially if you are locked in like they were on Saturday night, like they're going to have to be going forward. Man, it gets me excited just thinking about it. But you have to take it one game at a time, and it now. Nothing that happened before really matters. It starts in Dallas, in Frisco on Saturday night.
You had to do that, though.
Sorry.
So that match, Drew, between FC Dallas, just as a quick reminder for our viewers and listeners, that match is going to be on Saturday, September 20th, 6:30 p.m. Mountain Time kickoff between FC Dallas and Colorado Rapids at Toyota Stadium in, not Dallas, but Frisco, Texas. And, of course, you can catch that match on MLS Season Pass on Apple TV. I think that'll do it, huh?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Go Bolivia.
It's not till March, but yeah.
Go Bolivia.
Go Bolivia nonetheless. Yeah, I'm with. So Drew's our honorary Bolivian now. I'm the actual one here. So that'll do it. That'll do it for this episode of the Colorado Rapids podcast. My thanks to the production crew, Rich and Miles, and of course my good friend and resident Rapids legend, Drew Moore. I've been your host, Mike Ravolo. Everybody, you have a good week. We'll catch you guys on the next one.